Hello and welcome back to another Classic WoW video. So I decided to split this video in two parts, and this is part 2. I uploaded part 1 last week, and if you haven't seen that one yet, there will be a link to it in the description down below, so you can check it out. I decided splitting it into two smaller videos would be better than making one big video on the topic, so I covered 5 classes last week, and will cover the rest of the classes in this one. I tried to do mostly melee classes or attack power classes last week, and casters or spell power classes this week, to keep it somewhat natural. So let's just get right into it, shall we? And if you didn't watch part 1, I'm making this list and these numbers based on 5 hours of raiding per week over a period of 52 weeks, since I believe the Burning Crusade is about 1 year away. And I also make this list based on you keeping 100% uptime on these consumables, even during trash, just so you know. First we'll look at mages. If you're going to flask for every raid with 100% uptime and 5 hours of raiding on an average per week, over 52 weeks you will be consuming 130 flasks. As for elixirs, you'll want 260, greater arcane elixirs, or elixirs of greater firepower or frost power depending on your spec. You might also want to go for the Mage Blood elixir if you're having mana issues, which usually depends on how quickly you can down the bosses. Honestly, even with the Ignite nerfs, I believe most mages will go fire, but either way you will want 260 of whatever elixir you choose. You will also want 104 brilliant wizard oils, and 1560 units of food. The two most common food types are usually nightfin soup and runtum tuber surprises, but no matter what type of food you go for, you will need 1560 units of that food. You will also want to stock up on quite a few mana potions, and if you're using a mana potion on every single boss fight, if you do Blackwing Lair and Ankh-Kiraj for a whole year, you will need 884 potions. Once Naxxramas comes out, you will need even more as well, but I doubt you're using potions on every single boss encounter anyway. Then there's the Warlock, which is basically the exact same consumables, with the only exception being the Frost Power Elixir being traded out with the Shadow Power Elixir instead. Warlocks can choose between Greater Arcane Elixirs, Elixirs of Shadow Power, and Elixir of Greater Firepower depending on the fight, and their role on that fight. The Firepower Elixir is usually used on AoE fights for more damage output from Hellfire, while the Shadow Power one is usually used whenever you're only casting shadow spells, usually Shadow Balls, or mostly shadow spells at least. And the Arcane one provides a boost to all types of spells. As for the numbers, literally just copy the mage numbers and you will be good. Then we have priests. As for Shadow Priests, you can once again literally just copy the Mage and Warlock setup, so we are not going to talk too much about that. I will, however, throw the numbers on the screen so you can see them. As for healing, we have the Mage Blood Potion Elixir, which you will want 260 of, and you will want either Brilliant Wizard or Mana Oil, which you will need 104 of, and you will want 1560 units of food, which is usually nightfin soup. On top of this, you will want some mana potions, and in this case this number is based on you using a potion for every boss encounter, and killing all of the bosses both inside Ankh-Kiraj and Blackwing Lair every single week, and if you do that you will need 884 potions. Oh yeah, I guess I should also mention that I only really mentioned flasks for the first class, since the number of flasks you will need is the same for every single class, if you keep 100% uptime and raid 5 hours per week, but you will want 130 flasks. So just write that down I guess, or check the description for the formula, so you can calculate how many you'll need yourself. And then it's the last class for today, which is Druids. Honestly, Resto is basically the same as the healing setup on Priest, and Boomkin is pretty much the same as both the Mage, Warlock and Shadow Priest. But since this is the last class for today, let's just go through it again. So if you're healing, you will want 130 flasks of Distilled Wisdom, 260 Mage Blood Potion Elixirs, 104 Brilliant Wizard or Mana Oils, 1560 Nightfin Soup, and 884 Mana Potions. If you're a caster, you will want 130 flasks of supreme power, 260 elixirs, usually greater arcane elixirs for most classes in most scenarios, but also greater firepower elixir for some classes, and shadow power elixir for other classes. You will also want 104 brilliant wizard oils, and 1560 units of food, which is usually nightfin soup or runtime tuber surprise. You will also want 884 mana potions. On top of all of this, you have nature, frost, fire and shadow protection potions, which we talked about in part 1, and you have things like Juju Chill and Juju Ember. You have flame deflectors, ice deflectors, healing potions, and other types of potions that is difficult for me to factor in, because some guilds might actually require them for speedruns, but most people won't require them, and it's up to each individual if they want to bring them or not. That being said, I think I covered most of the main consumables you need for raiding, except for the magic protection potions, which is fairly difficult for me to calculate, since some players might need more than others on that one. And here's the formula that I used for the consumables. You have numbers of raid hours per week, multiplied by 52, assuming TBC comes out in exactly 1 year, and you multiply that number by how many consumables you will need per hour. For example, for food buffs, you will multiply that number by 6, if the stat buff lasts for 10 minutes, since 6 times 10 is 60, which is 1 hour. Once again, this formula assumes you maintain a 100% uptime on your buffs, even during trash. For potions like Thistle Tea, Mighty Rage potions, healing or mana potions, and so on, just figure out how many bosses you kill per week, or how many boss encounters you actually use potions on, and you multiply that number by 52. Once again, this whole video, or both these videos I guess, since I have made 2 videos on it, is based on the Burning Crusade coming out in exactly 1 year, or it's basically how you can raid log for exactly 1 year, with 100% uptime on your buffs if you raid for 5 hours per week. Most of you probably won't reflask or pop new consumables on trash if your current buffs run out, so you probably won't keep 100% uptime all the time anyway, but I do believe the 5-hour average per week will be fairly relevant to most of you, considering in about 6 months' time you have Naxxramas coming out as well, which consists of quite a few hours of raiding, am I right? Other valuable consumables for all classes we have talked about today, which are not tradable but you can go and obtain yourself, are Whipper Root tubers, and the different consumables from repeatable quests in Badlands, like the Cerebral Cortex Compound, which increases your intellect by 25 for 60 minutes. Honestly, this part was a bit quicker and probably less detailed than the last one, but the casters and the healers are just so damn similar when it comes to which consumables they use, so it's basically the same consumables pretty much, and since I use standardized numbers, it's the same numbers as well for all classes. Hopefully you did enjoy the video though, both this one and the part 1. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about them. Did they deliver? Did they help you figure out how to raid log? And last but not least, are you planning to raid log? If you did enjoy the video, make sure you smash that like button, join my Discord through the description down below, and I think that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!